What's going on, everybody? It's the Rev Ron Hunt, and you're checking out the 3 Count Podcast. You already know what it is with your boy Red Dog himself. Yes, sir.
Weighing in at an unbelievable weight that you might hate, but you can't even
Dang, high class, where'd you find that drag ball at?
Welcome everybody to another
Now
great
entering
edition
the
of the
ring.
3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring, and I'm your host Clifford Red Dog Miller. That's right, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. You should call me your Sherpa, but like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. And that's why it's never about me, but it's about who's entering the ring. And today, you see him right next to me. You find this man at Clips, you find this man at ROH, you find this man at KSWA, you find this man at RWA, 2WA, you find this man at Pit Fight, you find this man at BDW and OVW. That's right, Ohio Valley Wrestling. He is 1/5 of STP Shane Taylor Promotion, and he is your current Eclipse Heavyweight Champion. He is the Reverend Ron Hunt.
Man, you would have thought that I paid you for that intro, bro, man. I really appreciate it. Hey, that's a good intro right there, man. I did not write any of that for him. I'm just letting y'all know now. Didn't do it.
Bruh, I genuinely, I think it's funny because, like, and full transparency, we talk about this all the time, but like before that light turns on, man, like, so he's like, hey man, yeah, we have this show, we're gonna do this, and then like the light turns on and it's just poof, let's go.
You just gotta do it. You feel that juice, and you just get that adrenaline. You gotta do it.
Right, man. Yo, so one, thank you for coming on our show, man. I appreciate this so much.
No, man. Thank you for having me, man. Definitely down to have a discussion, man. Any question that you got, it's all on the table, man. So let's get it popping.
Bet. So one thing we'll knock out of the way, right? So I talked about this with Shane. I talked about this with Khan. I'm going to talk about this obviously with Moses as well as O'Shea whenever I get him on the show. But one of the matches that we always talked about last year, right, during 2021, we all talked about the big matches like, Kenny and Daniel Bryanson or Brian Danielson. We talked about Kenny and Daniel Bryanson, Brian Danielson, and and Hangman, and we talk about all these cool matches with like Roman and Daniel Bryan and stuff like that, right? But one match that we at this Recap Podcast on our debate show that we talked about and we told everybody you have to go check this out was the Battle at Brooklyn with Prolific and STP, and it was cool getting back to talk with Tyree about that match. It was cool to talk to Shane about that match. It was cool to talk to Khan about that match. So it's the only match that's been on the independent scene that has made the number one list on the Red Dogs power rankings, which is like, it was massive. And I was like, yo, I was
That's
just a
amazing.
huge fan of the match.
Yeah, it's been one of those things that we've been really focusing on. All throughout the conception of Shane Taylor Promotions. That's been now a little over 2 years on the national level. But it's been working even prior to that. I think we're pushing close to 3. But from the jump, it's been one of those things to where we didn't want to take the opportunity and the limelight that we had and to just keep it to ourselves. We wanted to use the power that we had, the social media pool, the weight and the respect that comes behind the names of all 5 of us individually and as a synchronized unit of Shane Taylor Promotions, and use that ability to build up the next crop of people and or the people that we feel are already at a certain level and just didn't have the right moment to showcase what they could at the highest possibility of their own. And I think one of those top ones was, just like you said, we were right there at in Brooklyn, New York. Man, let me tell you, that whole New York and New Jersey area, they know how to give you a live crowd, big match flow. And the state of New York, they are loud and they are proud, and that's what we like. We're the type of people that we talk our stuff because we know that we can back up our stuff individually as all 5 of us and as a unit as St. Taylor Promotions. We back it up. I mean, you look at all of our track records as individuals, we've been backing it up. Every single one of us on individual level has held some type of title and or multiple titles at the same time. And then even as a unit, you add on simply the things as like our tag team titles, our 6-man world tag team titles. Even saying with the television title, this is what we've been doing. So that Brooklyn show, I know it meant a lot to Prolific and all of them, and especially with Tyree. but it meant even more for us. We always want to be the type of people that people can say, I doubted myself a little bit, but I had this match and it woke up something in me that gave me a new fresh hunger and a new outlook on this business. And that's what we're trying to do as a crew. We're trying to build the life of professional wrestling and build that satisfactory of don't listen to what everybody else says. Believe in yourself. There can't be no other bigger supporter but you. If you don't support yourself, it don't matter how many high fives people are giving you. You're going to go home and you're not going to be satisfied ever with your work. So, the fact that, we can look back on that match, look back at that event as a whole. Shout out to Jobber Tears podcast and for them having that Jobber Slam. That's been one of the things. We want to help grow not only professionally as a whole, but individually for our people and put on for our culture and put on for our people. And that match was just one of them. And I think that was a very solid favorite for a lot of us, that night in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, what I really liked about that match too was just like, because it was funny, and I told Tyree this too. I was like, dude, I did not know you were in a tag team, right, with Shane until I did the research and I found it looking
Yeah.
up for Shane. So when I see almost like a mirror of what Shane has done to what Tyree has done, right? Like to see those six individuals just standing at the ring looking at each other, and like the first two obviously are like, yo, we got respect. And then you get to Shane and Tyree, and Tyree's side of the story was like, nah, I ain't about this. I'm just trying to fuck you up. And I loved every minute of it. I was like, this is like the heat and the hate that you could feel in that ring at that time. I was like, dude, this is another level of storytelling that I don't think a lot of people are going to appreciate just yet. But once they start like really investing some time and watching, they're going to understand like what real, like, not just good selling, because I'm going to be honest, Marcus, he got his ass kicked a lot, but you're going to get into a lot of like when and where is going to be like proper selling techniques, and when and where is going to be proper time to like get your shit in and let people know like where you stand. Because, there's a point where like, even like when I was watching, like Tyree had an opportunity to pin Khan, but instead he just stared over at Shane and just gave him the coldest stare. And I was like, I can't wait, man. That's just how I was about the whole
You're
match.
just waiting for that time for
Yeah.
like the Bulls to finally lock corner. You're like, when it's gonna happen, the tension is building, but when exactly is it gonna happen?
Exactly. Yo, but we could talk about this match all day and I could just dive into every piece of it. But it's not about that match, man. It's about you. So I gotta know right off the jump, man. Who is Ron Hunt?
Man, Ron Hunt is the savior of professional wrestling, the one and only, the Rev. There's a reason why there's the at the beginning. I'm the one and only. And Ron Hunt is the type of guy that when I get into that ring, I gotta do what I gotta do. And when I do what I do to the best of my ability, I always leave the fans not only with an out-of-body experience, but I leave my opponent with the out-of-body experience. And that's what I've been doing for over a decade now. And so that's the main thing. I'm out here, trying to get this mission done. You see a lot of things happening within the sport. My goal is for me to refreshen the eyesight of those that can't see the way that they need to be seen within this sport of professional wrestling. And if that takes me having to get a little aggressive, that takes me getting a little violent, so be it. It's nothing personal. Business is just business. And that's what we say. Business is just business. Hey, if a couple teeth get knocked out, hey, business is business. Don't take it personal. I'll buy you a bottle of Aquafina, some Novocaine after the match. But from bell to bell, it's on and popping. It's just on.
Listen, I don't care what anybody has to say, okay? Wrestling is the only sport that's sanctioned by God. So I don't care. So we're gonna
Hey,
fight, we're gonna
true.
fight it out.
We gonna fight it. We gonna fight it out. It's about to be Mufasa and Simba all over again. Somebody going down, and it ain't gonna be me. It ain't gonna be the Rev Ron Hunt. That's what it's not gonna be. So
Bet, man. But I'm just curious, like, how did you get into the sport? Like, what got you started?
yeah, so I definitely say it was 1997, 1997, 1998. I was watching WCW Bash at the Beach, and Eddie Guerrero was the main person that really hooked me as a fan. And I think even when people look back through a lot of things that I've done, it's always paid some type of tribute to Eddie Guerrero. So that was about 1998 Bash at the Beach. It was Eddie Guerrero versus Chavo. The loser had to cut their hair and everything like that. And just to see the connection that Eddie could gravitate the crowd to. The energy, the adrenaline was there. You know, you felt his heart, you felt his desire. You saw a guy that loved this business with every ounce in him and that respected it to the fullest. And I didn't know all of that is what circumference me wanting to go from a fan to saying, I got to do this. I get this wrestling itch. But, you know, looking at it now, I can say it was all of that kind of formulated into one. And, you know, it was years upon years later. I had that conversation with my parents. I'm back in about 2008, 2009. And I told him, I said, listen, you know, I want to be a pro wrestler, you know, and it's one of those conversations that pretty much if you talk to anyone, you know, you either get, well, I'm in support of it or what the heck are they thinking? And so the main thing was it was a little bit back and forth. My father was a boxer. He boxed before and while he was in the military. Helped train a couple of guys in the Olympics back in those times. And so you know, ring sport and combat sport was in the blood naturally. I just went the crazier route where I can swing chairs and put people through tables and not get arrested. But yeah, the support was there. It was push and pull. I think definitely just because you know they're my parents and they didn't want me to get hurt and they wanted to make sure I had an education to fall back on. So the agreement was, you know, they would help me kind of facilitate this crazy dream to a certain extent. However, I had to promise them that I was going to get some type of higher ed education. You know, whether it was an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, but I had to go to college. You know, at least have a fallback plan. And I said, listen, deal. I was going anyway. I wasn't one of those type of guys like I ain't going. No, I'm gonna go anyway. So I was like, easy, let's run it, you know. And so yeah, 2011 was finally that year that I decided to get my foot into the business. I was training down in Florida, but off of the Wild Simone with the Wild Simone Pro Wrestling Training Center, and literally the rest is history. When you go down with a lineage like that, they don't give you you don't get the pleasure of having that name backing you unless you get through the ringer. And they're going to make sure because if you're a product of that environment, there's a deep, deep, deep wrestling lineage that comes from the Samoan dynasty. Deep. It's continuing deep. Even for those of you that have not been following, when you look at guys like Roman Reigns, when you look at the Usos, when you look at even Tamina, she's connected, still within that bloodline. You look at one of their cousins with MLW. You look at guys like Sam Moo, Lance. The list goes on. Rikishi, Umaga. The list goes on. The wrestling history and the lineage behind that is deep. So you must come out on the top tier that you can because you're already going to be put in the bubble of people thinking that you think you're better. But you got to go in prepared. You got to go in. Listen, I'm gonna get my behind kicked, and they're gonna make sure that I respect this business before I graduate. And so that was the thing. Best decision of my life, honestly, the best decision of my life. Not only did it teach me things in wrestling, but it taught me life values that I continue to instill today, individually and as a professional, connected, within Shane Taylor Promotions and how we operate our team. And we keep it moving. We keep it moving. So your boy been going strong, man. Your boy been going strong.
It's funny because you bring up like the Soma dynasty, man, and like just everybody that's connected into that world. It's crazy because even like Solo like is in right now, and he's tearing it up like on NXT, and then you're gonna see even like Nia Jax still gets wrapped into that as well.
Yep.
So yeah, the family like when you get through that system like. Yeah, you're on a level with very far and few in between. So yeah, that's awesome though that you graduate from that school though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a blessing, dude.
So I'm curious, man, because you said they do beat you up. So now I'm going to have to know what's the hardest you've been hit.
Ah, man. Now are we talking about from training or wrestling as a whole?
Let's just you know what? Why not both?
I would say training wasn't anything out of the ordinary. And it wasn't any hazing or anything like that. But what people have to understand is that pro wrestling is not a pillow fight. And you must be able to wrestle. You must be able to wrestle in an environment to where you're tired and you still gotta go. So it was very physical there. And I think that was a whole part of the course. And I think, any wrestling trainer would be wrong if they didn't try to talk you out of the business before you got started or give you the nitty-gritty to say, listen, I told you so. But if you make it through that, I truly believe that there's another level of respect and appreciation for the form of professional wrestling once you make it through a ringer such as that. So I would say nothing felt like it was hard because every day felt the same. Put ice packs on when you get when you get back. But I would say overall, the hardest I've been hit has probably been with the steel chair, and it kind of knocked me loopy and on dream shit where I didn't remember the second half of the match. And then somehow I guess that's when your body just kicks in its natural fight or flight instinct. And it looked good on DVD. It looked good on TV. Do I remember the second half of it? Absolutely not. But, so that's it, man. Not really anything more, on the hand to hand type of thing, because people know, like, listen, if you hitting me hard, man, you better hope you knocking me out, because I'm gonna hit you 10 times harder. So that probably makes sense why my hardest has been with the steel chair, because they probably really did try to get me out, man. But it's all love, man. It's the nature of the beast, man. It's put up or shut up, man. Fight it out, man. So we still here, man. We still kicking.
So okay, so then we talk about like the hardest you've been hit, obviously with the steel chair. But I gotta know then, what's the worst bump you've taken?
Ooh, I probably gave it to myself. I jumped off. I was wrestling one of my good friends now, Jordan Styles. We had about a 2 year long feud, not about a year long feud. His head got a little too big. He thought that he was the man. He wanted to try to take me out and thought I couldn't win without him. So we had a street fight match. And I had this bright idea that, hey, I'm going to beat this dude up. I'm going to bring this table out. I'm going to put him on a table. And then there's this big, giant scaffold staircase. And they change light bulbs. If anyone's familiar with the West Newton Gymnasium, where RWA Pro Wrestling runs here in Pennsylvania, very large ceiling. So they need a giant step scaffold to go. I decided to set this bad boy up, and I'm going to jump off this thing. Until I realized when I climbed up there, it was too high. And I said, listen, I had this conversation. I was like, listen, Ron, you can't be no punk, dog. You got to do this. The crowd is cheering your name. You can't walk down the steps like nothing happened because you're scared. And I don't mind heights. It was just a little too high for me to know. I was thinking about jumping off this. So I swallowed my pride and I just went for it. And I think I might have like slightly fractured some ribs. But once again, it's nature of the beast. But I remember I was in mid-air, and it's like one of those movies where like it pauses and you're like, I bet you're wondering how I got here. It was one of those, and I'm just like, listen, I'm either gonna die and they're gonna have a nice 10-bell salute this next show, or I'm gonna live and be a legend and tell this story. And God picked the living side, which I appreciate because I didn't want my 10-bell that early. But that was the worst. That was the worst. Between that and someone slammed me through a table. Those always suck. So I try to stay away from tables unless I'm putting somebody through them. So.
God bless. Dude, like even for me, like I think it was like my third week of like training, and I saw Akira Tozawa do his like giant senton off the top rope, and I was like, I'm gonna try that too. And I did, and I promised myself I would never do it again.
Yeah.
All the air just left, and I knew I was young, and it was cold. Mind you, because I train outside, so it was cold. It was like, I think it was like 20 degrees outside, and I jump and I do this spot.
Ooh.
And the mats were so tight. I just never remember like all the air leave my lungs. And my trainer was like, sucks, don't it? And I was like, all of it sucks.
They're like, listen, I don't want it anymore. I'm going to go home.
He thought that was it. He was just like, all right, this is the moment where he leaves. And like 2 years later, here I am back, and he's just like, I don't understand.
Had the no quit spirit, man.
You got no time for that. All right. So then I gotta ask, man. So let's just say you're on a show, you just get done with your match, man. What's that post match meal, post match snack that you gotta have?
Man, let me tell you, man. And I know this is going to be a big thing because I know we got some Sheets versus Wawa people. But I'm gonna tell y'all, man. I'm finding the Sheets. I don't care. I don't care. I'm finding one. If there's a Wawa, I'm driving past it. You want to know why? Because Sheets is my baby girl. But that's man. I do my Sheets runs, man. Yeah, I gotta do it. So I would think the big thing is give me a foot long hoagie, get me one of those giant guzzler cups, and give me some sweets, and then we on and popping. You know, we hitting the next town. Now, however, if I am in the state of Ohio, only because I missed them so much, I'm gonna find me a Raisin Cane. I'm gonna find me a Raisin Cane. If you don't know what that is, you missing out.
I guess I am because I have not been a part of that yet. So I'm gonna
You
definitely have to hit that up.
you got ask Shane about it. Ask next time you talk to Shane. Ask Shane about it.
You know what's funny is that you bring that up, and there was a great story that he had brought up too. He was talking about how because we talked about like In-N-Out burgers just being average, right? Like it's not special. Like even if you get like the animal style,
Yeah.
a little above average. But he was telling this story about Smoothie King. I think it was PJ Black that was with him, and he was like, "All right, man, let's just go stop and get this smoothie." He's like, "I wanted this to be so much trash just so I could talk shit." He's like, "But the moment I drank, I was like, you know what? All right, this is okay."
So
He's like, "I don't
sometimes you got to eat your own words, man. And we've been to a few places to where we're like, yo, this gonna be good. Then like it goes above your expectations. But there's definitely been those times where we've been to places and we're like, all right, y'all ready to leave after this? We'll just order some pizza and call it a night at the hotel. Like this is crazy. We've been to both places, so I think we all surpassed the Waffle House days. Nothing wrong with Waffle House, but we all surpassed those days now. So we trying to be on the bigger and better things, you know.
Yeah, I was surprised when I was in Jersey and there was this taco place that we hit. I'm sorry, I don't remember, but it was me and like my trainer and a bunch of other guys. We all went there and we all ordered food. And like the kid was like the front person was thrown off because like, what do you guys do? And we're like, well, we all wrestle. And they're like, oh, okay. And like as we get to joking and talking with them and stuff, they realize like, oh no, they're serious. And like, yo, it was the best taco spot, and I can't wait to go back just to get it. I just can't even
Now,
remember
if
the
you
location.
if you haven't hit any taco places, man, I definitely say get out to the SoCal area, man. Get out there to California, man.
Oh
They do
yeah,
the best street tacos ever. Get your one of the older Hispanic people that's back there, you know, whipping it up in the kitchen. It's
listen,
on. It's
I'm not
on.
even gonna front. If I hit up a spot, right? So I'm I'm Latin and I make my own enchiladas, right? And I'm actually Panamanian, so it's funny to even say this. But as a Panamanian, I make my own enchiladas, right? And I compare my enchiladas to any restaurant's enchiladas, right? If my enchiladas are better than your enchiladas, my family, we don't go back. So I'm like, why am I paying for your basura when I can make it myself and make it better?
Exactly.
So
Exactly. It's like,
I
why
always
do
throw
it?
down.
One time. You got one time to impress me or disappoint me. You better hope you're on the impressing side. That's how we always looked at it.
Yeah. I stopped at this there was this place like right around the corner where I live. And my wife was like, yo, we gotta go try it out. It looks really good. We ordered enchiladas, and I was like, nah, we ain't never coming back.
Yeah, it's like this ain't it. This
Nah.
ain't it, honey. This ain't
And it's not even being conceited. I just know that I make great enchiladas. Listen, my father-in-law who hates Mexican food had my enchiladas and was like, I will eat this. And I was like, that is a win.
now you know I'm gonna put you on blast, dog. So if you know you coming to a show that I'm on, I expect an enchilada.
Bet. I got you. I got you.
I'll find a microwave if you don't got a thermal container to keep that boy warm. But I'm gonna give it a test, and then you can record it and you can use it for the podcast. It'll be a commercial if it's banging. I'm gonna
Bet.
be a tough critic though.
That's fine. That's fine. You know what's great though, man, is that like I've been making them for years, and I've been like mad excited every time I get to make them because like I'll send you pictures because I know I have pictures of like what it looks like right before they get cut open. So I'll definitely send you like right
Let's
after this
go.
to show you. So let's hop into it, man. I got to know because this is like one of my favorite questions to ask, and I've only been asking this for probably about the last 3-4 months now. But what's one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn in this business in this sport?
Yeah, I think one of the hardest lessons is, you know, you never stop learning. And I think, more if we're really getting, more particular with that. I think that's a hard lesson for a lot of people to understand. You really get to a point where you feel like you've been enlightened a lot. And actually it's not a hard lesson. I would say it's more of a humbling and amazing lesson. Um
Yeah, I got you. Oh,
So like
you
you
cut in and
never
out.
stop learning. And I think it's, when you look at it of, you get to this point that you're enlightened and you feel like, you're right at this right part, but then you realize maybe a week later, you're in there with someone that has been at an even higher tier or has been at the same tier that you are, but for a longer year. So they have more of an experience at that level. And I think that's the really cool thing about it. I think I've been very fortunate even throughout the years to see guys that I remember seeing in the ring when I went to my first live show. Now, these people are co-workers, and some of these people I'm able to actually call a friend and a brother that shoot me messages, when they're like, hey, just checking on you, seeing if everything's good type of thing. But then, there's a time you just get to just chill, sit under the learning tree and get more information. So I think that's one of the hardest lessons overall for any wrestler in general. I think all of us want to get to a point where we feel like we got this thing on lock. We know exactly what to do. We know exactly how to structure this. We know exactly how to do this. And then someone says, whoa, I like this. If you would have did this, 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 but right here, and then this, and move it there, then you're like, why didn't I think about that? That you got a good point. That's the learning aspect of it. So I think that's the biggest thing. And I always try to tell everybody, including my students, if you ever get to a point that you feel like you know it all, it's time for you to leave the business. It just is, because you can't, at that time you will no longer be coachable, and you will no longer be teachable. And that's a big thing that I've taken with me all the way through playing school sports into the professional realm. If you're not coachable, you could be the best athlete out there, but if you're not coachable, no one can do anything with that. And so that's I think that's the hardest one so far. But it's humbling, and I think when people get it, the earlier they get it, the easier and the quicker they begin to grow in this business.
I think that's such an important factor is like people being coachable because we talked about it on your live last night on TikTok. Uh, we were talking about like because I walk around with a book, like I have my book with me everywhere, like even in places that like normally you wouldn't even take it, right? So like I take it to my shoot job, right, and I'll take it to because I might be traveling or I might hear something, and I'll just want to jot it down real quick, right? So I mean like I go back and I listen to all these episodes. I look for little things that I might have missed the first time around, but I definitely write down everything because I'm like, yo, this is important. And I think that's when you're and like you said, like when you're in a team sport, like you got to be able to like be flexible and learn, and you got to treat yourself as one CM Punk would say, a white belt for life. And that's something that I
Yeah.
constantly have to remind myself that like as long as you're staying humble and hungry, you're never going to be satisfied and full, and you're always going to be striving to get more. So I always try to break myself just enough to where I'm like, yeah, I got to learn more about that, and then go get it, or just wait and then just write it down and come back later and know that there's something else waiting for me to learn. Because in this sport, man, this is something I've learned, and I learned it through like this experience of having this podcast. It's just that everybody has something that they want to give to the sport, give back to it to make it better. And as long as you're listening and looking, if you're looking for it and you're listening for it, you're gonna find it. And so I definitely appreciate like whenever I get to bring on guests and just ask them for advice, man. So it's kind of cool that you're saying like you're giving that all back to your students.
Absolutely, and I think that's the whole like pay it forward type of thing. Because I'd be lying if I told you that I that I just thought that I was the learning product. For example, I had a good friend of mine. Actually, you and I both know him, Mad Max. That we were able to have a conversation just about some things, and He sent me a link with one of the Busted Open podcasts, and Bully. Listen, Bully Ray is a humongous supporter of Shane Taylor Promotions. You know, anytime we have something going, he makes sure to retweet it. You know, get STP topics on Busted Open Radio. And one of the things was, you know, it was a link just talking about the art of the business and some things that make the art of the business a little bit easier, and you know, really breaking things down in regards of structuring and mindset. And I shared it with our students, and I said, what I want you guys to do, I'm like, take about 25-30 minutes out of the day. I want you to listen to this with a notebook or with something that you could take notes off of. Make your notes on what you got out of this. And I'm like, I'm gonna do the same exact thing. In our next class, I want you to bring your notes, and we're all going to compare notes, because I want to see what you drew out of it from your own thinking and how everyone else thought about it, and then also what I drew out of it. And then when it's all said and done, if it's done right, it's a learning curve for everybody. And I think that that's the big thing. So never get to a point that you feel like you know it all, or you know you need to be at X amount level. Maybe you do need to be at this level, but guess what? There's also different learning avenues that you will take along that way to help you remain at that level. It's one thing to get there; it's another thing to keep your spot there. And that's the beautiful thing about the journey, man. So even for me, I'll forever be a student of the game. And if I wasn't a student of it, I guarantee Alpha will give me a call. I'd randomly find him or Alpha Junior, and they'll probably teach me an old school lesson. So.
It's wild for me too, because I'm you know, I'm older in this game, and by like age wise, not experience wise, because obviously like I've only been for like 2 years. But what I've learned though is that like as you're progressing, there are levels to this game, and it's not even a what do you want to call it? Because like in the military, you treat it as time and service, right? But there's more like a time and grade. Like as you progress up in each rank, you're gonna learn more, and then the more you when you get to that level, like you're still always learning, right? Because you always have people who are been doing it longer than you, or can do it just, as I say, more efficiently than you can. And so I'm always appreciative of just like picking people's brains, getting that little bit of advice, and then going back. And you brought up like Busted Open, right? With the master class was something I definitely like. Every time I see a new episode of the master class, it's the first thing I go to listen
That was
to.
it. Yep, yeah, that was it.
I love the master class. It's always like there's so much to just like pick off of, and just like and listen to, like especially like Mark Henry, man. Ever since he got out of his WWE contract, like he has just laid like the truth down to everybody about what they need to do and where they need to be and how they're gonna get there. And I was like, man, this is what people need to be listening to. So you talk about it, how you had your own students, you have your own school. I'm just curious, man, like what kind of advice do you usually give to like up and coming wrestlers?
Yeah, I think it's one of those main things. So I'm actually one of our assistant trainers. We're down here at the Stronghold Wrestling Academy, just about 45-50 minutes outside of downtown Pittsburgh area. First class Brandon K and Dean Radford are two of our head trainers. If you guys are familiar with them, that's where you have seen guys like Lee Moriarty, who is currently on the AEW roster. He's a product of the Stronghold Wrestling Academy. Lady Frost with Impact Wrestling, she's a product of the Stronghold Wrestling Academy. Another up-and-comer that hopefully will be making some big moves soon, Nikita Knight. Once you start hearing her name in the waves and some different things that she's doing, she's a product of the Stronghold Wrestling Academy. And I even think with them, you know, I think it's just a bunch of good brothers really just coming together and understanding the importance of knowledge. And the environment that we want to set is, you know, coming to this thing with open ears and a closed mouth. And that's a universal lesson that you would hear anywhere that has a solid school is ears open, mouth shut. There's no room for excuses, because if you're making an excuse, that means you're not accepting the constructive criticism. And not everything not everything that is being criticized is doing so because someone doesn't like you. There's a difference between, you know, receiving a bunch of bashfulness and a bunch of hate versus constructive criticism. So we try to tell people, come into this with an open mind, come into it with your work boots on and your work hat on, and let's get ready to get to work. But once we start getting to work, ears open, mouth shut. And that's the main thing. And I think, giving credit to Brandon Kay and Dean Radford for really setting the tone for that at the Stronghold Wrestling Academy is, it's a time where everybody feels welcomed, but at the same time, it's a we don't put up with BS type of place. And I think that that's something that really sets the tone. Like when students walk into the door, they know when we walk in, it's not about what happened outside of the walls of the training academy. It's about what we're doing right now. Leave the outside stuff out there. This is business. This is work. This is what we come to do. And all the students there are great. All of them come in with a mindset of let's really get to it. Or we're if not, they know that they're comfortable with pulling us to the side and talking about real life issues so we can clear their mind, and then they can get in the ring and do what they can do best. And I think that that's the big thing, building that trustability, not only between coaches and students, but also building that accountability between the students themselves so they're able to hold each other accountable as well. And they do a tremendous job at that. And I think that's why Stronghold Wrestling Academy is one of the top schools, not only in the greater Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania area, but the nation as a whole.
Yeah, I like that too. And it's just great that one thing that you just said, right? Like set the trust foundation and then accountability. Like those like the two big things that you really should be focused on. Like, you're in to do a job. Like you're not into like,
Yeah.
Like I get it. Like something I do. I love joking with my friends and stuff like that during the ring. But like once we get in between those ropes, man, I'm like, yo, I want to get to business. Like I want to get through all this. And I say it all the time. Like I want to get through all the fundamentals because I want to have fun. I was like, and if I can't have that fun because you guys want to sit here and bullshit and cock grab each other and talk about stuff, like I ain't trying to be in here. Like you guys take care of your business and get out of my ring while I get in here and try to get business done because that's what I want to do. So I definitely relate.
No, you hit it on the head, man. Real talk.
Well, it's like, and it's one thing for me, right? Like I said, like I'm turning 37 this year, man. Like I only have a window.
Get out of town.
Like I gotta go.
Baby face turning 37.
I know. I was like, I got a window, man. Like that shit is closing. Yeah. Y'all got like this massive window because you're like, oh, I'm started at 18. Like, cool. I didn't. I gotta go. Like,
don't let Diamond Dallas Page know that.
No. Because you know what? Like I started just like Diamond Dallas Page, and I'm well aware of what he did, like into his 50s. It's just I'm also realistic in the sense that if I want to get to where I want to get to, you got to make a lot of noise really fast and then learn a lot. So that's why I was like, this podcast is great for that because I can always go back. I can look at more lessons, or I can go to if I'm talking to people. And plus, this is the other part too. That same 18-year-old kid that started and he's just like, I don't know what to do in this, what I'm gonna do. Check out this podcast because it's literally wrestling 101. So get it in. Besides that, man, you've been in a lot of different places. You've been in a lot of different locker rooms. So the very next question I have for you is, I need one do and one don't of the locker room.
Yeah, I would definitely say, one of the do's is, first of all, if you're the first person at a company, definitely find the booker, the producers, the agents, whoever they are, shake hands. I'm very traditional with that. I'm the type of person that, and some people are still a little bit different. Even before the whole pandemic, when all of us went to like fist bumps and distant waves, but I go around and make my rounds both as soon as I get there and right before I leave to just make sure I kind of shake hands with everyone. If I can't get to everyone, I give them a big old, especially at the end of the show, if I can't fully get to everyone, just see everybody. But when I definitely get there, make my rounds with each and every person. And, I think that starts with the whole mentality of this business. We're all in this business together. Yeah, win, lose, or draw. We are all in some way, shape, or form trusting each other with our bodies in somebody else's hands. The bare minimum I can do is be as professional as possible and greet them with a good, firm handshake. And a lot of people don't know just how much of a long way that goes. And if you do have some OGs in the locker room, how much heat you can get if you don't do it. So I've seen it happen. People got heat for years. Why? What happened? Well, they didn't shake my hand back in 2014. I'm like, well, I'll be damned. So I think that's one of the main things. That's a definite do for me. And then you can always gauge after the first time. Some people just don't like their handshaking, but at least for that first time, I would say that that's a definite do. You must shake everybody's hand. That's just a professional and courteous thing to do in our art form. That shows respect for everyone that's doing exactly what you're doing. One of the big don'ts, and I mean a huge don't, and it's a universal thing. And although it's sad that in year 2022, I have to say this now. If your significant other is not a professional wrestler or connected at all, do not bring them in the locker room. Do not. That is a no, 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 no. If for some reason you are deciding to, this goes for not only significant others, but any family member, make sure you clear it with management, whatever the management is of that company. The locker room is considered sacred. It's considered for both the men and the women, or anyone that respectfully goes by any pronoun that is on that particular show. That is their time. That is that sacred ground. A lot of magic that should not be exposed goes on behind that curtain, and we don't want to ruin that sacredcy of the fraternal brotherhood of pro wrestling. So those are just the main top two to do in the locker room, and then wipe your feet off before you get into the ring.
Yes.
I don't want no dirt, no mud going into my eye. Hopefully you don't got street shoes on in the ring, but just for the courtesy of it, please wipe your feet off.
Facts. It's funny though, man, because like my little one, she's not. I don't want to say she's training because she doesn't really train, but she does know how to move from a wrist lock to a hammer lock to a headlock, and she does know how to do an international spot. Although she claims she doesn't, she does. And like, so I see her work, and I know she can, but every once in a while, like I take her with me to practice, like all the time. Or I said she's probably missed probably a handful of times, like just being at practice, but she goes with me pretty much all the time. So she understands like the inner workings of like how things work. So whenever we were at a show, I brought her with me, and she just sat with me in the back, and like guys were like coming up and talking to her, and she was like talking game back with them. So it was definitely kind of fun to watch. And then
That's
she has
awesome.
like no fear, which is even crazier, but
I don't know, might run in the blood.
It might. But the thing about wrestling, and people know this, that we all have like a screw loose, and I hope that's not what she has.
yeah, that's what they always say. So I said, if/when whenever I do have a daughter, oh God have mercy on her soul. I would have to have a come to Jesus moment if she ever wants to get involved in wrestling. We have not had this conversation with Shane if his baby girls ever want to get involved in wrestling, but we did all come to the common consensus that God have mercy on whoever they date, because it's going to be like the edition of Bad Boys, except with not just Will Smith and Martin, but it's actually going to be Shane and all the rest of her 4 STP uncles that are
Right.
big and bad. And we already said that. So God have mercy on whoever they date, and if they do get involved in the wrestling business.
Right. That's the one thing I was telling my wife too. I was like, like if the school recalls because our daughter chopped somebody, the first question that you better ask is, what did that person do to deserve that?
Hey.
Because the one thing I tell my daughter, and she says it, and I post this, I'll have her come say it too. She will tell you, we don't start fights, we just finish them.
Yeah. No, that's exactly how my father was, going back to when he was boxing. We had a heavy bag. we had a heavy bag in our basement, for individual work. And I mean, on a daily basis, we would do rounds down there daily. Like you would think it's like Rocky, like we're going like 4 3-minute rounds and stuff like that, working on different things. He's calling different shots, and the whole thing was, he was like, if I ever find you in school just going around just knocking dudes out, we're gonna be done with this. This is meant for you to protect yourself. It just should not be something that you should be bragging about that you know how to do. But if you do have to use it, let people know when it's too late. Just make sure that they swing first. And it was the same thing, don't start a fight. Stop. You're just the one to end it. And there's a couple times. Listen, I have ended successfully a few fights, and one was a 2-on-1 handicap match, and I was the one. Those two brothers know what their name is if they do see this. So congratulations, you got your plug right here from the Rev Ron Hunt. But on national podcast, I did whoop you and your brother on the school bus. You're welcome.
Bet. Well, those are all my heavy hitting questions. So we got to get into the second best segment. And you're probably wondering what's the first. It's the Red Dogs Power Rank because we brought up at the top of the show. But this is the 3 Count Podcast, 10 Count Questions. And Ron, this is how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast. Whatever's your answer, that's your answer.
Let's run it.
So we're going to put on the imaginary timer for added pressure.
Uh-oh.
Bing! And here we go. Smackdown or Raw?
Raw.
Favorite color?
Orange.
Live action or voice over acting?
Voiceover.
Favorite pastime?
Football.
PlayStation or Xbox?
Xbox.
Favorite movie?
Ooh. You're going to quiz me on this. Borat.
Let's go. Sonic or Mario?
Mario.
Favorite podcast?
Your podcast. Yeah, because I'm on it.
That's right there. You see it everywhere. Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
Let me see here. I'm gonna get ballsy on this one. I want you to complete it before you retire from this podcast. I need I'll give you an easy one. I need Mark Henry. I was gonna say The Rock. He's a hard person to get in contact with. Some of us got the magic. Mark Henry. I know that's a big one, but it's more doable.
I like it a lot. All right, last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person that comes on this show. Favorite curse word?
I don't know. I try to clean my dirty mouth up with Orbit. But I would say this. This is going to be a little more of the Rev Cheesy line. My favorite cuss word is can't. I don't like to hear it, and it's a dirty word. I don't want nobody saying it.
It's good.
You
so
can do whatever you put your mind to.
It's like all you lint lickers out there better not.
Yeah, who you calling a lint licker? I forgot the convert. Listen, I've cut it. Here's the thing that I've done, because every now and then I would get ticked off in the ring. Some type of something happens, I get jumped or whatever. And, at those times where, the devil really wants to get my tongue and I really want to say a few choice words, every now and then they slip out and I clean out with Orbit. But 9 times out of 10, I realize that I don't have to say a word. The fans will say the word for me. So if I can't say something, I just hold the mic out and the fans finish the sentence for me. And that's been working out for me pretty well. So.
Bet. Well, that's all the questions I have for you. So, the Rev, I need you to let all of our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Yep. You guys can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and absolutely Red Dog Notice too. TikTok. Everything is the same. The Rev Ron Hunt. Shout out to the TikTok hoodie right there from my girl. Yeah. But you can find me on all social media. The Rev Ron Hunt. I'm able to get back in contact with a lot of people no matter where you message me at. So let's have some fun on social media, y'all.
Bet. There you go. There you have it. And you know what that means. You got all of his handles. That means we got to take this home, which means this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. Like I said, I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog. That's right, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. That's right. But like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. And that's why it's never about me, but it's about who's entering the ring. And you see him right next to me, the Reverend Ron Hunt. So you guys know what to do. Tune in to the next episode and be there, or you just wait for this episode to end. You wait for that outro, and then you choose another episode to listen to. Peace. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count Pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. Oh! At ProWrestlingTees.com/the 3 Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So, show us some support, please.